Taken together, there is a massive expertise and concentration of brain power in Canberra, unmatched in Australia and perhaps unmatched in the Southern Hemisphere. With this infrastructure behind us, the obvious question is what more needs to be done? There is, of course, as always, plenty. We can make better connections with the emerging global supply chains that are increasingly being driven from India and China. That's why we brought this business delegation to India. That's why we'll be travelling to China later this year. We can ensure that the players in our innovation system are truly see themselves as part of a system and network, that they share and collaborate. The divide between academia and business is being rapidly closed. Entrepreneurs and researchers are being brought together to jointly solve problems, and that, of course, is as it should be. Building problem-solving capability in firms is probably one of the more interesting challenges for both business and government. Australian industry relies to a great extent on external knowledge bases, and there is no better example of that than in Canberra, the greatest knowledge bank in the country. Knowledge is maintained, housed and added to our universities, the Australian Government's cooperative research centres, the research institutes and government laboratories, which constitute a fantastic repository of knowledge. But the flow of the knowledge outwards into the business sector can be disjointed and accidental. In Canberra, indeed in Australia generally, businesses are generally small. We're not a nation of vast multinationals. While small to medium enterprises are rightly credited with being the breeding ground of innovation, their size means that they have to work hard to be noticed or to become part of the supply chains and connections of global relevance. In Canberra, we are conscious that businesses need to look at innovation more strategically. Innovation is sometimes accidental, but sustainable firms, the ones that will still be here tomorrow and next year and in 10 years' time, are the ones that take a strategic and systematic approach to innovation. The successful ones are those that seek innovation and organise for it, that take care to manage and motivate their staff, that create the microclimates that give rise to new ways of thinking, seeing and doing. Canberra's human capital base is already without equal, as I've mentioned. Keeping it in that condition means that the ACT education system must always be and is our absolute and number one priority at all levels, and it must be a lifelong process. Adult education is not a luxury, it's vital, and it takes many forms, not all of them based in a classroom or a lecture hall. The challenge is to provide multiple avenues for lifelong learning, formal opportunities as well as opportunities for applied and contextual learning, learning by doing, in a business environment that values innovation and the contribution of all staff. Lifelong learning is of particular importance in an ageing population like Canberra's. India, with its young population, with almost 50% of its population under 25, may not be able to easily imagine a workforce where the pool of new workers diminishes every year. This is an Australian experience, but quite most notably a Canberra experience. We, at this stage, have the youngest or most youthful population of any Australian city, but even so, within 30 years, over 30% of the people of Canberra will be over 60 years of age. That means rethinking not just our traditional ideas about career paths and retirement, but the better uses we might make of the vast, underutilised repository and of knowledge and experience at our disposal. We certainly, ladies and gentlemen, face challenges in fostering innovation, and it will differ depending on our cultures, our traditions and the resource base that has shaped our economies, but I'm sure that there's plenty that we can do together. I think, in closing, it's important that we try not to see ICT as a standalone input to knowledge communities. ICT is incredibly important, but how it meshes with parts of the microeconomic environment is the critical factor. In my view, firms and the people that lead them, the entrepreneurs, are the true knowledge community builders. Thank you very much for listening.